Good afternoon, everybody. It appears as if the criminals are not interfering with my phone. Thank you for the YouTube creator who responded to one of my videos, the video that I took inside my nonprofit building when I was demonstrating the white powdery stuff intentionally and deliberately placed on the windows that I could not remove, that was self-replicating itself. This has been going on since I lived at 52 Sutton Drive in Manalapan, New Jersey, in a home that I lived in for 30 years, until I moved to rural Kentucky. And then the crimes began all over again here. But you can see that my screen is not wobbly. And the reason is the individual gave me was that it was being intentionally interfered with. And I believe he's correct. And he said that they were using microwaves to interfere with my camera. I believe he's correct for a couple of reasons. One, there is a lot of microwave activity around here that I have registered not only on a meter, but the results are on my physical body, so it leaves evidence on my physical body. But I also now have a forensics report analyzing 6 of my video recordings from my cameras, my security cameras. And on those cameras, the audio always picks up what's in the background. We can't hear it, like you and I cannot hear what's going on in the background. But individuals, forensics analysts, have the tools and methods to hear on a different level. And I have a report claiming that there are people talking, discussing me and other people on my forensic report and what they're doing to us. And that there is an 8-point kill grid surrounding my property. How about them apples, folks? And yes, I'm posting this online. I'm posting it online because I have distributed my report to multiple people already. So in the event that something does happen to me, of course it's a slow kill program and they've been slow killing me for almost a dozen years. But in case something does happen to me, this evidence will be online, even though the criminals are attempting to remove comments by people like Karen, who posted several comments on the last video. The last video about the $200 million food program for children, the fraud program that the FBI is investigating. She left 2 very long, astute comments. And she's been shadow banned, but they were removed, not by me. Other comments by Jeff, your comment was removed too. I didn't remove it. Right now there are only 2 comments under that video when there were at least 4 or 5. I'm not removing them, some other criminal is. So the criminals that are hacking my phone, my laptop, interfering with my keyboard, the memory on my phone does not ring anymore. I don't get text messages anymore. They don't ring. They're silent. And that's intentional. There's nothing wrong with my phone, except for the criminals that are interfering with their technology and their hands-on, boots-on-the-ground BS. So anyway, some of the other things that I wanted to address were the thefts on my property. Now, I did post one video dedicated to the theft of a $79.99 brand new item in the box. This is from Battlbox, Battlbox. And these were ear muffs, silencers that, you can use when you're firing a firearm, or you can use it on your property to tune out sound that you don't want to hear and tune in sound that you want to hear. Like the criminals hooting across the property, thinking that Them calling each other across my property, I'm not going to know what they're doing. These people are more moronic than I could ever even imagine. And there you go, folks. They're now interfering with the camera. But I've figured out a hack. I carry along with me my little trusty magnet. As soon as I hit my magnet to the top, it stops moving. I learned that from a YouTuber, a YouTube creator, who was attempting to fix a wobble on his phone. But his phone was, the wobble on his phone was a result of his phone. It wasn't microwave energy by the criminals attempting to disable what I'm saying. Another theft happened just yesterday. I purchased a new storage containers for my kitchen, which is a hot mess. I've got the tiniest kitchen. When I lived in New Jersey, I had a nice big kitchen with an island, cabinets. I loved it. I mean, it wasn't, one of these designer kitchens or anything like that, but I had renovated it and I was quite happy with it. But here I've got a very small kitchen. I've got no room. I've got no cabinets. I haven't even used my oven yet because I use my oven for storage. So I bought these storage containers and I unboxed them for the first time in several weeks. And I left them opened on the floor of my living room. And guess what, folks? Oh, there it goes. Well, now I've got some wind too. One of them was stolen. Brand new. Just out of the box. Stolen yesterday. Because these criminals camp out on my property. And what they do, I figured out what they do. There's always somebody watching the criminal on my property. And usually another criminal will drive by as a distraction while the criminal entering my house is entering my house. It's like a magic act. It's magic. You got to watch what's going on. They want you to watch what's going on here while they're doing the trick over here. Now, I wrote myself a couple of notes of things that I wanted to address in this video. Yes, there has also been an assault on my email. My full name at gmail.com for those people who use that email address. I woke up to discover that every piece of mail from 2021 and 2022, except for the month of September, was deleted. Deleted. That goes from my personal mail, important mails about the fraud going on here in Kentucky, like with the Division of Water, Judge Shane Gabbert, Sheriff Paul Hayes, Ross Murray, the county lawyer. Lawyer, liar, sounds the same to me. But I have emails, or had emails in there to these individuals with regard to the crimes being committed on this property and the environmental impact of the retaining wall falling into the creek and how it has not been addressed and how the judge has been lying about it for 3 years. And not only that retaining wall, but he lied about the repair of this county road when it fell in March of 2021? No, 2020. Maybe it was, no, 2021. And what they did was they trespassed my property. And you see all that white rock there? He claims that pouring that white rock down the bank onto my property and sticking a plastic PVC corrugated pipe to defer water onto my property was recommended by FEMA. That is blatantly false lie. Through FOIA requests, I received the report, and FEMA had never been contacted about repairing this county road. Never. There was no funding, and there was no plan by FEMA. FEMA would never create a road that looked like that. Now, I'm not a fan of some of the things that FEMA does. I think they work a little too slow sometimes. But as far as their infrastructure goes, they would never build a road like that. Ever. The guardrail is missing. There's no rebar in the road. They poured asphalt and sand on top of nothing. There's no rebar in that road. Now, I'm not a civil engineer, but I know damn well that you need rebar in a road like that. There's no rebar. And what the judge said is, oh, we needed to pour that rock for stabilization. Really? All the way down the bank like that? All that rock? And guess what, folks? And I'll show you when all the trees shed their leaves, that rock forms the letter V, as in vendetta. That was carefully orchestrated psychological operation, trespassing my property, and I emailed him that I never permitted it. I also emailed him asking if he had performed an environmental impact study before building that road and pouring that rock down there, and installing that corrugated pipe that had never been here ever. And that plastic corrugated pipe is underneath that road. And there's no netting. And it's pointing towards trees on my property. Don't you just love it when people drive by and you're recording a YouTube video? So that's the story with that, folks. And I just started walking around, and my camera's wobbling. So here comes my magnet, and it stabilizes. Okay, so this is Edward Snowden, and that's Rand Paul. Those are my roosters. They're young. Edward Snowden and Rand Paul. They're friends. They're big buddies. I wonder if they would be in real life. And here comes, I call them the scavengers. They've been eating so much of my cat's cat food. It's been, there it goes again. I removed the magnet. They've been eating. Let me just close this up here. They've been eating so much of the cat food. My poor cats are not getting their food because these creatures, I never knew that they ate cat food. So I'll put the cat food out for the cats, and they come running, like charging. And see, they're having a good day. Actually, it's really nice out. It's actually much colder in my house than it is outside. And here's Mr. Paws. He showed up here a few months ago. He's a youngster. He showed up at the same time that somebody killed Cheeks. Cheeks is a cat that belonged to an owner down the block who moved, and I had been feeding him since I've lived here. He pretty much lived here. He's actually been in my house. He's been in my house over the winter time asleep. But yes, around Memorial Day, he disappeared. And it was ironic because my neighbor diagonally across, not the criminals next door that tore down my fence, my neighbor diagonally across, who is an animal lover, caught him on her video camera and posted it on TikTok. And he disappeared after that, never to be seen again. And this is a feral cat. He's lived outside his whole life, so He's been around the block a few times. He knows how to protect himself, and he just disappeared. It's my belief that he was intentionally killed. But this is what it's like today on the homestead. We've got three little sisters over there. Oh, and you know, I want to show you what these criminals do. They have an affinity to puncturing holes in wood and stuff. They like to create faces and evil-looking things in wood and in the walls in my house, which I will show you. I've got some real evil-looking stuff on the walls in my bathroom. But this is what they do to cut wood, chop wood. And no, folks, it didn't look like this when it was cut down. This is something that they did to the wood. They like to puncture holes, and they have the technology to do it. They can take a beautiful cut of wood and turn it into this with a hole in it. Just the way they did with my watermelon video. If you go to my watermelon video, you can see the circular burn mark in the watermelon. And they have the technology to destroy an item from the inside out. Here, like this. It did not look like this when it was cut down. Nor this one. This is their artwork. And this. They did this to the wood. They did this to the wood. So I noticed some, welcome to the new subscribers. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lorraine. I moved from Manalapan, New Jersey, in a home that I lived in for 30 years as original owner, to rural Kentucky in 2019. I live on a very large lot of land. And since I moved here, knowing no one, I have had a slander campaign against me. My neighbor who lives right next door there, she threatens workers on my property. Her husband tore down a newly installed gate. He was wearing a black ski mask, disguised like a criminal. They've shot firearms on my property, bullet holes through my no trespassing sign, murdered my cat. Scream obscenities and bizarre stuff out their windows as they're driving by like they're teenagers. Scream other things. I mean, I've got videos, audios, digital recordings of these creatures. I even have a signed witness statement witnessing my neighbor tearing out my gate across the street while threatening my worker with his 15-year-old son present, threatening him with a loaded weapon to not come closer. I have to wonder if I had shown up before my worker, if things would have been different. But nevertheless, the sheriff's department did nothing. No arrest. The local judge, he didn't even understand what I was saying. And I don't mean that he didn't understand that I was speaking the English language. He just didn't understand my vocabulary. I'm sorry, like in New Jersey, when I go before a judge, like there are some things that I don't understand what the judge is saying. I have to look it up. I'm just a regular person. It's really deeply disturbing that a judge is so uneducated he doesn't understand the English language. But that's the way it is here. And you have to wonder, I haven't traveled a lot in my life. I grew up in the Bronx. I moved to New York City. I lived in Queens. I lived in New Jersey, and now I live here in Kentucky. You know, I've seen a good part of the East Coast. I've been to California and Chicago and Arizona, you know, and a few other places. I've been out of the country. I've been to Canada. I've been to the British Virgin Islands. I'm not as well traveled as a lot of people, but nevertheless, I'm very open-minded. But living here, it's not like that. The people have lived here their whole lives. They're not very aware or accepting of other cultures, nationalities, religions, thought processes, ideas. They're stuck in their own little time-warped lifestyle. I hope they realize that they are part of the new world order, and life is not going to be good for them either. They think that being sheltered in a remote rural area, that they've got all their buddies and stuff. War is war, and it affects everybody. So these people better wake up real fast. Communities need to band together, but not against an individual. That's not what community is about. There is a war coming. We are already at war. And the powers that be like nothing better than for us to be fighting amongst each other. Blacks against whites, Muslims against whites, Jews against Christians. I mean, it's all a crock of BS. These community watch groups need to be taken down. Nobody's vetting their psychological, mental outlook. No one is vetting how they would respond under stress. Nobody's vetting how they can war against an individual in a community or be paid off to do it. They're nothing but a bunch of bullies on steroids. These are adult bullies that haven't grown up yet. They need to get with the program. Get a bunch of balls instead of being a coward and a pack of animals. There's war coming to this country, people. Famine. It's going to be like the Great Depression. So instead of warring against one or two individuals in your community, wake up and smell the roses. You want to be Nazis? Then you're responsible for the takedown of this country. I don't want to be part of that. I will never be part of that. That's why I'm a targeted person and not a perpetrator. That's why you're targeted and not a perpetrator. I have so many people contact me about why is this happening to me? What can I do to stop it? And some of the people that are contacting me are so much younger. It's so deeply disturbing. But the thing is, we're chosen for a reason. I recently watched a video, and I really want to respond to that video. I have to find it again. And it was an analysis, but this is years ago. It was an analysis of who becomes a target and why. A whopping 73% were people who lived alone. Isolate the victim. Imagine these cowards harassing people who lived in a big family. They have to go after the little guy. It's sort of like a big lion going after a little kitten. I mean, it's so cowardly, so pathetic. And part of the study stated that, and I don't have the percentages on me, and I will do a video on this, that the majority were women. There was a higher percentage of women. I think the percentage that they gave at that time was in the 60 percentile. That's false. And again, I think this video was at least 10 years old, so that's false. The majority is women. The percentage is higher. What he found to be astonishing was the education level of the individuals. He originally thought that targeted people would just be uneducated, homeless, etc., etc. He found that to not be the case. And of course, the people who are listening to this already know that, you know. So, you know, I will try to find it and report on that further. But I hope everybody's having a good day. I have a lot of errands to run here. I've been hanging out in the house because I felt so cold, but now it looks like we've got a little bit of sun popping out. So it's getting a little bit warmer. And this is Beaks. Beaks, say hi. Say Beaks. I have a scissor beak, so I have trouble eating. I was not born with a scissor beak. It developed for some reason. It could even be that a perpetrator did it. But I don't have evidence or proof. I just know that there's a lot of weird stuff going on here that's not happening naturally. Right, guys? So, I apologize to the people who've had their comments taken down. I didn't do it. And if you remember what you wrote or have a copy of it, please post it again. The interference tells me that we're doing something right. They don't want to be exposed. Well, tough. Tough. I don't negotiate with bullies. And nobody's going to be fucking, oh, excuse me, with my life without repercussions, without me fighting back. Sorry, folks. You're all going to be exposed by name, license plate number. You want to participate? You'll be famous. On TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube. And I would believe that Travis Sparks, the former owner of this property, he's looking down in horror and dismay that his property, these buildings that he worked so hard to build are being intentionally and deliberately vandalized by these people that he thought were his friends. They were only using him. Only using him. Don't worry, Travis. We're going to make sure everybody knows what they're doing to your property. And I'm going to keep calling it your property because you built it. I didn't build this. I'm just cleaning it up. I'm just living here helping you while you're not here anymore. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading. I hope you're having a good day.